Hi friends, I'm Megan from Forge Soap Co. And I just wanted to put out a little bit of a disclaimer before you view this video. Please understand, in soap making, you either get it right with soap or you don't. In the batches I'm about to show you, they were not salvageable, so while it seems very wasteful, a few of them were lye heavy, which means that they are unsafe for human use. I certainly can't sell them to the public. Even after attempting a few rebatches, which I have done, I still ended up with failed soap. So in the end, you really have no other option but to throw them away. It's an unfortunate side effect, but I do take some comfort in knowing that they will break down and compost fairly easily over time. So that's kind of the one thing that I keep in mind with when I have to throw away entire batches of soap. But here's also proof that a professional soap maker still makes mistakes, and it's still really easy to fuck up sometimes. So if you fuck up, don't worry about it. It happens to the best of us. Just carry on the best you can afterwards. Learn from your mistakes, write down lots of notes about it, and move forward. Thanks so much, friends. This first batch was a case of mistaken identity because I misread my recipe and used the wrong oil. You can see that the lather is very flat, it's almost sticky. And you can also notice that in this batch there's a bunch of striation marks where the ingredients didn't quite emulsify together. This was also a very soft batch of soap that needed to be frozen before I could pull it out of the mold. This batch of soap had very obvious separation. It had to sit in the mold for several months before I was even able to take it out. And this was because of fragrance oil that I used. When I cut it, it just doesn't look right. It's very soft, it's very mushy, and like I said, this is after about 8 to 9 months. It hasn't really improved. It's still very squishy, not really salvageable. This mistake came from using too much colorant. Unfortunately, I didn't measure my colorant, which is a big no-no, and I just kept adding it and adding it. The lather results in a very, very yellow lather, and who wants to bathe with a yellow dingy bar of soap? So I'm still deciding about this batch of soap. This is an untested fragrance from a brand new company that I had never used before. The soap came out well, I liked the way that it looked, but when I used it, when I lathered, the lather seemed okay, but it was very drying, very stripping on my skin. So I've decided I'll probably end up throwing away, but I'll wait and see. This batch not only was missing an oil, but it also had a strange color morph. If you'd like to see the color it was supposed to be, check out my video, Neon Spin Swirl Soap. When I went to cut this particular batch, right away I knew something was wrong. Not only was the color off, but it was also exceptionally hard to cut and very brittle. You'll see here as I break it in half how it just sort of snaps, and that's because of the missing oil. It also ended up being very lye heavy, so even though it looks like it lathers fine, it has a little bit of a sting when you use it. So because of these 5 failed batches of soap, I ended up having to throw all of them away. The only one I have is the one that I'm waiting to see what happens with, because it's only been about 6 weeks, but all of the rest of these are not usable. They were not great options for rebatching them just because they had intricate designs or they were already heavily fragranced. It just wasn't going to be worth it. So unfortunately, this was an instance where I had to throw out nearly 40 pounds of soap. The biggest and most expensive lesson for me that came out of all of this was that I need to take better notes, follow my recipes to a T, test my fragrance oils, and read reviews online before I use particular ingredients. I'm always learning.